Hello everybody, we are going to be talking about whether or not the Nashville Predators are going to be sneaking into the Stanley Cup playoffs this year. Now before we start, I wanted to say please make sure to subscribe to my channel if you're new to me, new to hockey, whatever the case may be. I'd love to have you here along the ways to try to do this as a career. And that being said, let's get into this video and talking about whether or not the Predators can make the playoffs. So currently Nashville is 34-24-7. Good enough for 75 points on the year and are on a 3-game winning streak, so that's pretty good all things considered. And they are also currently in the position where they're just outside of a playoff spot behind that second wildcard team, that being the Winnipeg Jets, and they have 79 points. So you're looking at this saying that that's probably good, right? Well, it gets even better because they actually have 3 games in hand over the Jets, and they looked really like a team that was not going to be in this spot right now where they are within striking distance of that second wildcard spot. In fact, they looked dead on New Year's Eve at the end of the 2022 year. They were 15-14-6. And right around that time, sometime in December, I think they had a 6-game losing streak and just really did not look like a team that was going to be, in the hunt for a playoff spot. But since the new year, they've gone 19-10-1, a very good stretch for them since 2023 began, and have found themselves with that, good stretch to be able to be back in the hunt. They haven't really had a lot of long winning streaks in this. In fact, I think the longest one is like 4 games, but they've also been able to limit those really long losing streaks. There haven't been, those 6-game losing streaks during this run. Of course, they have just 10 losses in regulation this year, but they've just really been able to keep it to 3 or less. And I think it's usually back-to-back where they might lose or something like that. But for them, that is just incredible. Unfortunately, if you are a Debbie Downer and you want the Debbie Downer news, they do have the second hardest strength of schedule remaining out of all 32 teams this season. The most notable games being against the Boston Bruins, Carolina Hurricanes, Dallas Stars, New York Rangers, Toronto Maple Leafs, and Vegas Golden Knights. However, there is still hope, and for some of these people that already say, well, it's a done deal, they're not going to make it, they have 2 very pivotal games coming up here against the Winnipeg Jets. One of them actually being March 18th at home against the, of course, the team that they need to be able to beat. And then another one is April 8th, and that is away. I think the 18th is 2 days away from now. So in 2 days, they very well could decide partially what's going to happen to their season. And then in early April, they will have another chance to kind of close that gap between them and Winnipeg. Unfortunately, back to Debbie Downer news, Winnipeg, I think, has a relatively easy schedule to end out the year. I think they ranked something like 22nd for strength of schedule out of 20 or 32 teams, I should say. So that is back to Debbie Downer news. But in general, in sports, weird things happen, and there's no guarantee Nashville will miss or make it with as many games as they have left. They really hold, I think, the fate in their hands, especially those 2 games with Winnipeg. Yeah, maybe it's not easy having the 6 teams that I did mention that are really looking to not only go to the playoffs, but be some of the better teams, top teams, and still have teams like in the West, especially where you're competing for that one spot out West. But if they can win some of those games and then take care of business, I think against the Chicago Blackhawks, they have a game against them. That's their coming up. I don't know exactly when, but that is how you're going to have to do it. And you just got to do what you got to do. They've been on a good run to, get going in this year, and they really have to keep going on that run and hopefully have some things bounce their way if they do want to have playoff hockey again in Nashville. And in general, I think it would just be very cool to see the Predators make it for 2 reasons. One of those being this is David Poile's last year as a GM, a man that quite literally molded every single aspect of this Nashville franchise, and he is on his way out. So it would be really cool to see them have a chance to win the Stanley Cup for the first time ever in the Poile era. And as a team, whether or not that happens, tough to say, but also I think it is really impressive that this club that has made moves to ship some guys out and looked like they would be sellers, according to Poile himself, at and around the deadline. It really is remarkable to think that Nashville could move some guys out and still find a way to claw their way into the playoffs and maybe, just maybe, make some magic happen in the last year under their GM's reign. But what do you think? Do you think the Nashville Predators will make the playoffs this season? Why or why not? And do you think it will be because they didn't control the games in their their hands, or do you think that somebody else will get hot before the season's over? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night, and you go love hockey, all right. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.